It's bad. Anime.
All right, hey everybody, I'm John.
And I'm Rob.
And this is Bad Anime, the show where we decide,
Is this anime bad?
And today, on this very special hot summery day, what gelato, I mean anime.
What cool, refreshing anime are we watching today?
Oh God, this anime, I'll say the name today.
Go for it.
I'll say the name. This anime is called Love After World Domination. And Rob, you had suggested this one, as you do most. I would like to know, because this is, as you mentioned, a pretty recent anime from the spring season of 2022.
Right.
How'd you stumble upon this one? How'd you learn about it? What made you decide that we should watch it for this podcast over here?
If I remember correctly, I came across a clip of it on YouTube, and my first reaction was, what the fuck is this, and how did I miss it? Because as I said a little bit on the show, and I can dive in a little bit more now, I'm a big Super Sentai guy.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Power Rangers, for those of you who aren't aware, how the North American Power Rangers franchise is made is that they take the fight scenes from a long-running Japanese show, Super Sentai. Super Squadron is a rough enough translation. They would take the fight scenes and they cut out all the scenes with Japanese actors and put in American ones.
Yep.
That's how they've been making the show since 1993.
Yeah.
I fucking love Super Sentai. I love Power Rangers growing up. Found Super Sentai, and that's kind of what led me to anime in a roundabout way. So fucking the live action stuff is always, meant a lot to me. Fudo PI is also out this season.
Yes.
And the third episode's coming out tomorrow. So fuck it, I'm pumped. And we're doing a 3-episode rule on that motherfucker.
It's on the list, baby.
It's on the list. Anyway, so basically I saw this and I'm like, well, first well, actually, I had two reactions.
Okay, give me the reactions.
Well, there are two reactions where Bouncy were doing this. And then I thought about it a little bit because this premise really intrigued me. Because this is actually a very typical device in Super Sentai and Power Rangers where a ranger falls in love with, like, the hot female villainess.
Oh, I didn't actually know that.
Oh, it's a very common device.
I gotta say, I watched some Power Rangers in my youth.
But not a lot. And I watched, me and actually the drummer in our band, Adam, we watched a lot of Power Rangers. I showed him.
I hear you guys talking about Power Rangers in space all the time.
Oh, yeah, and it happened in Power Rangers in Space, too, where the lead villainess, Astronema, fell in love with Zane, the Silver Ranger. God
damn, what hot names, though.
Very hot names.
Zane and Astronema? God, just, like, fuck already.
Exactly. Oh, they had big mommy-daddy energy.
Oh, good.
So that's what I remember as a kid. It happened again a couple seasons later in the Japanese version was Time Ranger, but in the American version it was Time Force.
Yep.
Because, let's change it a little bit. So this is a very common kind of Sentai trope. So when I realized, I'm like, they're going to make this last 12 episodes? And I was like, okay, let's see what this is.
Let's see what they do here. When you told me, like, the premise of this show, which is, like, like the power, like, a main Power Ranger falls in love with, like, a villain, right?
Yeah.
And they fall in love and they try to, like, make their love work.
Yep.
Even though being on opposite sides of the fence.
Yeah, it's a star-crossed lovers story.
Yeah, star-crossed lovers, right? I actually really I was excited to watch this because that premise, I love when people, like, take, like, an old piece of fiction.
Yeah.
For example, like, when you take, like, Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there's a series or something that came out about this, but it's like a series or like a writing about, like, a character that's in Harry Potter that isn't any of, like, the main characters and is just a random student at Hogwarts being like, what the fuck is going on? I love that shit where you, like, dive into these, like, weird alternate universe, like, plot lines, and it's like, what? Okay, take this. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows Super Sentai. Everybody knows Power Rangers. But what if you just made this slight tweak on it?
Yeah. Do
that
something
was, like,
with the formula,
a bit different, right? And made a whole show out of it. I was intrigued to see, number one, if they could make it last 12 episodes, and number two, if it was actually going to be decent at the end of the day, or live up to expectations that I previously had.
No, of course. And so that's what they decided to do here, and they paired up our boy Fudo Aikawa. Fucking Fudo. And I believe is Fudo his first or last name?
I think Fudo is his first name.
Yeah. Weird.
I think it's his first name, yeah.
weird. Because of course I go back to Akira Fudo right away.
Oh yeah, of course.
I'm just like,
I mean,
huh.
interesting.
Interesting choice. Aikawa, Akira. I know how to change syllables too. And I'll stop ragging on people for ripping off Devilman.
But then on
if
the other
there's any
side,
show that have any connection with Devilman, I didn't think it'd be this one.
Yeah,
and
weirdly enough.
it's the most minor thing
it
too.
is. It's very minor.
It's very minor, but it's
Yeah.
enough for me to raise an eyebrow.
And like, interesting.
It's like if I name a character Harry Pothead, for example. I'm like, it's like, okay, you changed a syllable.
I hope the Harry Potter references continue throughout this episode, even though they have no right to be here.
Wingardium Leviosa.
And right, so you got Fudo, and who's the Red Ranger.
He's the red. And we have for our fucking our Power Rangers team here. It's the freezing Sentai Gelato 5.
I lost my brain at the beginning of this show when they were like freezing Sentai Gelato. I was like, so they're
Gelato
modeled
5.
after gelato?
Yeah.
There's 5 of them. They're the classic colors: red, blue, green, yellow, pink.
Yeah.
Right, and they all have their color, but also like a fruit, like our flavor. But okay, here's the fucking tea. Because you got the red guy, you got Fudo, and his power is strawberry.
Yes.
You got the pink ranger who's peach.
Yep.
You got the yellow ranger who's lemon.
Yes.
The green one who is pistachio, which isn't a fruit. And then you have the last one, the blue ranger,
soda,
who is soda.
Well, I think
soda is not a flavor.
Is there soda flavored gelatos? I don't know.
I don't think so. Unless you're like root beer flavored. I was like, what is soda?
I don't.
I was like, what do you mean soda?
Just club soda flavored gelato?
Club soda? How bland. How absolutely bland. That was like really silly.
Well, the whole thing is like, it was so funny because I wonder how people would see this and go like, especially people who don't have any knowledge of more modern Sentai. I can imagine people going, oh, gelato, that's so silly. I'm like, it really isn't that silly. Have you seen any recent Sentai?
It's not that silly?
No, it's just as silly.
Really?
Oh, yeah, no, the Sentai now is just, like, Gelato 5 didn't even make me blink.
Really?
My first thought was,
wow.
Surprised Sentai didn't use that yet.
Wow.
Even with Kamen Rider, recently, Kamen Rider Gaim, the whole thing was based around fruit.
Wow.
Yeah, the Kamen Rider Gaim recently.
That is fascinating.
Which is, for those who don't know, it's a sister series to Super Sentai. Airs in the same time slot. Well,
wow.
Sorry, back to back.
Interesting.
So yeah, Kamen Rider Gaim is based on orange, and they all had their fruits. And fucking Sentai now they have series based on trains.
So silly.
So it's like Gelato is not much more sillier than Kamen Sentai. I can imagine people going like, "Wow, what a fun over the top parody." And I just want to stress the point. It's really not. It's actually
really not.
It's actually pretty close, honestly, and I'm trying to commend the show.
Wow.
If anyone's confused by my tone, I'm like, no, the gelato thing, it's silly and fun, but it makes sense.
Wow. I did not think that. I was like, the whole time I was like, this is so ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it's really not.
I'll just get used to it.
I barely blinked.
Wow.
I mean, but Sendai's been this silly since like the 90s, especially if you go back and watch Car Ranger, which is the funniest.
Car Ranger.
Yeah, they did because this is okay. I'm gonna give you random.
Please, give me some random facts.
Sentai tidbits throughout the entire episode now because I can. I have a platform is actually appropriate. So, one of the worst performing Sentai seasons ever was called Turbo Ranger. It was their first car theme ones, and the entire public was like, "Oh, they're doing cars now. They're running out of ideas." So what they did was a couple of years later, they did a show or two more that really helped save the franchise. They did basically they did a season that called Jetman, which was probably my favorite Sentai, where they said, "All right, we're about to get canceled, so let's just have a lot of fun with this. Let's make it a little dark for no reason.
Cool.
Let's add a lot more drama, and let's have fun with it. Send it off with a bang." Then the show did phenomenally well.
Wow.
So they're like, "Oh,
wait!" So they went from Cars to Jet.
Yeah.
So like the series, like Disney Pixar's Cars, they went from cars to planes.
Exactly.
There's a movement here.
There's a movement going on here.
Movement.
So what? Well, actually, it was more bird themed.
Oh, okay.
More they flew jets, of course, but
bird themed. Okay,
but it was birds. They all
birds.
Had, yeah. So but they all had.
Is that the
planes.
one with Red Falcon?
No, that was called Live Man.
Oh, Live
where
Man.
That was general animal themed. But yeah, the Red Falcon was the leader of that one.
Pretty sick.
Red Hawk was the leader of Jetman.
Hawk. Oh, yeah.
But anyway, so what they eventually did, they were like, and then they had a big anniversary series come up. They were like, our worst performing one ever was an overly serious Cars like Sentai. What if we do a parody of that and call it Car Ranger? And that's what they did.
Wow.
So, and that was the silliest Sentai, and that one reminded me of this show quite a bit.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
It later got adapted in America as Power Rangers Turbo, funny enough.
Huh.
So,
oh, yeah, right. I remember that. I remember commercials for that.
Yeah, Turbo, and it's so funny because Turbo, they wanted to keep it like not too silly.
Right.
But then they got all the footage of like, this is the silliest
This is so dumb.
They're getting eaten by pizza. Like there's one scene where all the Rangers are trapped in a giant pizza.
Wow, that actually reminds me a lot of this thing.
Exactly. No,
anime.
Exactly.
It works out pretty well that way, I feel like.
So it's just so funny for me.
Wow.
Because the first question I'd ask myself is how they treat the Sentai formula. And are they going to be snarky about it? Are they going to play it by the book? What are they going to do here? It was a very loving homage, but I love how they changed the dynamics around a little bit. Personally, I've always loved the more militaristic Sentais where it feels like, it's people doing a job and it's their duty to save the world. Right. And you get that here, and you get a dynamic here it's becoming a little more common, but not typically used too much. When the 5 Rangers are different ages.
Yeah.
That's becoming a new thing in Sentai,
Yeah.
which I love.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like it in this anime, too.
And it's really fun here because one of our other Rangers, the yellow one, is an adult female who drinks beer. Scandal.
Misato Katsuragi. Sorry, that just came out. I'm sorry.
Oh my god! If you fucking put Misato, Shinji, Asuka, Rei, and fucking Koji in a Power Rangers team. Oh, God.
Oh, God. Nothing would get done. We'd all be crying and depressed.
Rei would just be sitting there with a book.
Like the villain would come out and be like, guys, you're making me really depressed right about now. You guys got to stop this right now.
He's like, I don't want to get in the Megazord. I don't want to get in the Megazord.
And Gendo's there like, Shinji, you have to fucking get in the Megazord.
Asuka's just standing there thinking about her mom hanging while dressed as a Power Ranger.
Misato's on her 5th ebisu. Dudes, I don't get paid enough for this shit, all right? When's the next angel attack?
Exactly. And all fucking Misato's too drunk to get in the Megazord. This is a fanfic that needs to happen.
It's definitely a fanfic that we will write.
I can't wait.
But either way, right? So you have that side. You have the
Kaoru could be the 6th Ranger. This just makes so much sense.
Oh, fucking Kaoru. He'd probably be Black Ranger, fucking asshole. But you have sorry. It's great. But you have right that one side of like the Power Rangers, right?
Yeah.
And then you have the villain side, and the villain side is kind of a complicated hierarchy. But their main character antagonist is the Reaper Princess.
Yeah, well, she's not even the main. She's like because
she's the main one like that. They fight, I guess.
Yeah, she's the one. She's basically in her Sentai equivalent. She's like the lead female henchwoman.
Yes.
So there's usually how these again. This is Secret Society Gecko. Which honestly, Secret Society Gecko wasn't. Secret Society Doris was the name of the villains in.
Oh, it was in Bao. Yeah, what are these secret societies and their shit happening? That's weird.
No, it's so funny. I just noticed that connection now. But anywhoozle, so Bao. But what happens is usually you have your main villain, who is usually either the big monster, like literally just a giant monster who's sitting down, or an old dude.
Right.
Here they went with the old dude, our supreme leader, Bossler.
Bossler, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
He's the actual main villain, and around him you have like his the upper hierarchy of henchmen.
Yes, and they're all like big animals.
Exactly. Except for and then you have all your princesses.
Yes.
Who are like based around some very silly things.
Right.
But then again, this is Sentai.
It is dumb. It is definitely dumb.
But like it's again.
But
it's
it is
not
what it is.
That dumb.
Yeah, I guess it's not that dumb comparatively.
It's not that dumb. So, but anyway, there's a few characters that our main female lead here, Desumi. She reminds me of a few Sentai leads because there was a few scantily clad Sentai protagonists, especially in the 90s. They added a little.
Really turned up the heat over there.
They added a little TNA for the boys who were like a little too old to be watching Super Sentai.
Oh, I can tell because the first shot of Desumi in the anime is that she enters the camera titties first.
Yeah.
So so it's very very apparent what they're trying to do.
But
it's
so funny because it doesn't really get too raunchy ever. The show.
It doesn't. No. They don't. I mean, like. Nothing really happened. Like they don't even kiss in the show ever.
No, they don't.
They literally don't. They make a whole thing about holding hands, which is why it's so funny because we're introduced to the Reaper Princess, who's Desumi.
Yep.
And Decime's in like a continuous struggle on the behalf of Gecko versus the Gelato 5.
Yeah.
And they're always in like a problem. And her commander is this giant fucking bear.
Yeah.
And this bear guy is always fighting the Gelato 5, and she's always fighting the Gelato 5.
Yeah.
And her and Fudo, the Red Ranger, like are fighting in this specific battle in the first episode.
Yeah.
And then Fudo is like, he kind of pulls a Squidward where he's like, oh no, she's hot.
Yeah. That's basically what it is. And then he stalks her on social media.
Yeah, because she has a social media. That's what I fucking love about this show. Every character has a social media profile. They're all like, so the Gelato 5 is like very cool in this because, you know, I forgive my ignorance because I've never seen a Power Rangers like this.
Yeah.
But they are all like famous celebrities.
They're
like,
all well known.
Everybody knows who they are under their masks, out of their costumes. Like Fudo is a celebrity. He's in commercials and shit.
Yeah.
All of the members of the Gelato 5 are like big celebrities, right? But the people in Gecko, their identities are still unknown.
Yeah. Because they're the
Decime
villains,
is a schoolgirl.
Yeah.
She's not like the Reaper Princess. Nobody knows that, even though she looks exactly like the Reaper Princess, obviously.
Yeah. But the thing is, she wears a mask while she's a Reaper Princess, and she's wearing very little other clothing, so people aren't looking at her face.
Yeah, exactly. They would not know.
Exactly.
What color was the sky?
What color was the sky?
Don't ask me the color of nothing.
Oh my goodness!
Look at them anime titties.
But yeah, it's great. Yeah, there are some Sentai like that. A number of them where like especially because sometimes they'll have a Sentai where it's very much a public production force.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there are Sentais where this team is well known.
Mm-hmm.
So and I love how they play that here where exactly only one person is trying to conceal their identity and it's the villain, which is an interesting twist.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's pretty interesting.
Which I really enjoy. Because we learned that Decime is a very interesting character in terms of with her and jealousy, which I really enjoy. But before we get there, Fudo's like, I love you, and Decime thinks Fudo's fucking with her.
Yeah, well, like Fudo like arranges this meeting of them at nighttime, and Decime's like, all right, this motherfucker wants to fight. Like, I'll fight him. Like, I'll fucking kill him.
Yeah.
And then they meet in like some weird like abandoned building, and Fudo immediately just yells like, I love you. And she's like, what? Because she's like never been in a relationship before as a Reaper Princess.
Yeah.
No, she never thought she would be in some sort of like love connection. And so, you know, initially, of course, she thinks that, like he's pulling my leg. He's like trying to like get one over on me.
Yeah,
but then she quickly realizes that he's not. Yeah. And they begin kind of a relationship, and she agrees that night to be his girlfriend. So they start dating. And the interesting thing about this show, I think, was that I thought there was a lot of deep dives on Gecko. Yeah. And like the whole like villain agency, right?
Yeah.
And like the other princesses and the other like animals, which we'll get to pretty soon. But I thought this show was going to be primarily focused on the Gelato 5.
Yeah.
I thought the show was going to go deep into the characteristics of the 5 members of the Gelato 5, which it does a little bit. But
only a little.
I feel like the Green Ranger and the Pink Ranger are the only ones that really get their episode.
Yes, they only. The yellow one is a consistent presence,
right?
So the yellow one's present in the story. The blue one almost does nothing.
Oh, he does nothing. He's Brock from Pokemon. He's literally just around to like fawn over ladies and stuff the entire show, and use Geodude.
Yeah, the only difference between him and Brock is the ladies actually reciprocate the feelings.
Yeah, they do.
So
they do,
so he's like a playboy kind of thing.
Yeah,
and that's his only character.
That's
trait.
really the only character trait.
They go a little bit out of his way to like emphasize how shallow he is.
They do.
So they kind of say like, don't be like this guy.
Right.
But that's all you get from him, really.
I know.
And whereas Green and Pink get their own episodes.
They do.
They have their own fun emotional struggles.
Right. But they primarily focus on Decime and on Gecko. Yeah. Because there are a lot of like, because Decime has her like princess counterparts, which is like the Iron Princess and the Beast Princess.
Yeah, yep.
That are at first, the Beast Princess is at first jealous of her, but then they become friends, and she's kind of like reluctantly like friends. And then the Iron Princess is like, Decime taught me that love is okay.
Yeah, because I love the Iron Princess. She's this girl who basically wears a big bullet.
Yeah, yeah.
So for the first like couple episodes, you don't know what her body looks like until she gets out of the outfit and you realize she has huge boobs.
Oh my god! Which is when like
and they make a joke.
Decime
and the Beast Princess, and the Beast Princess happens to be a little flat chested, so the Beast Princess is like.
and literally the Iron Princess gets out of the bullet. She's like, I don't know who would ever love me. And Destiny's like, I can think of a few people.
Yeah, I think I got a decent shot, man.
That'd be interesting. So
I think you got a decent shot.
She just starts dating the bear.
She starts dating the big bear.
Literal bear.
She's just a giant bear.
So funny. But
and they're just like, that's the one she was after,
right? Oh, the whole time. But but basically the whole show kind of follows this relationship between Desumi and Fudo.
Yeah.
And I think like the relationship it has its quiet moments, and the quiet moments that it has are usually during like huge battles, right? Yeah. So these huge battles, continuous like weekly battles, it seems, between Gecko and Gelato 5, and they're constantly butting heads.
And I just love how they keep
the same people fighting the same people consistently.
There's this plot device they use where while the Gelato 5 is kicking crap out of a ton of minions, you just cut to like a nearby meadow, and fucking Fudo and Desumi are sitting there like having snacks and talking.
Yeah.
And so the show has to go out of its way sometimes to occasionally remind you that it's a Super Sentai series, while at the same time is just Fudo and Desumi adorably trying to figure out how relationships work.
Which is very funny.
And it's just so funny to me, you know, because like it goes for a long time. So there's some episodes where the Ranger stuff doesn't really come up at all.
Right.
It's just what's it called? Fudo trying to figure out how dates work.
Yeah, right. It is. And like, that's basically like the half of the series is like Fudo trying to figure out how to date, and Desumi figuring out how to date as well.
Yeah, and I love, and you know, this hits home for me personally. And I'm sure it hits home for some people. Sometimes people, you know, especially how the show presents it, the two of them fell in love very quickly.
Yes.
So they kind of had to like backtrack a little bit and learn about each other. There was one line that really got me, and I was like, oh, it's so fucking cute. It was they were going to an amusement park, and they were doing all the rides.
Okay, what? I want to give some context about how they're at the amusement park.
Oh, right.
Because I will let you finish these attacks. Like, so Gecko plans their attacks,
right,
and everything in this show like cracked me up about how corporate it is.
Yeah.
Because Desumi's like. Because eventually, like, the Pink Ranger finds out that they're, like, in a relationship because she had feelings for Fudo. But she's like, you know, you guys really love each other, so I understand. I'll help you. Like, I'll look out for you guys.
Exactly.
And the Pink Ranger just randomly asks Desumi sometimes. She's like, is Gecko planning to attack today?
Yeah.
And she's like, no, we're off today.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow, though. Everybody's on vacation.
Yeah.
And she's like, wow, you have paid vacation? That's pretty cool. And, like, how they decide to attack the amusement park is, like, Desumi's like, I really want to go on an amusement park date with Fudo. And then she talks to the bear and like the head, like whatever his name is,
Rosler,
and a Brosler or something like that.
Brosler,
and she like runs up to them and she's like, you know where we should attack? The amusement park. And they're like, it's a great idea. and then they attack the amusement park so that her and Fudo could have an amusement park date away from the fighting, which is very funny.
Okay, so actually I'm gonna finish my first thought.
Yes, finish your first thought.
Then I'm gonna get back to the whole dynamic between Haru, Fudo, and Desumi, because they have a great dynamic. But anyway,
Haru's Pink Ranger, by the way, right? Okay, yes.
But anyway, so there's one little line I thought was so cute, because they're on this date and they're still getting to know each other, and Fudo gets pretty sick because he gets so motion sickness on the rides. And at one point, Desumi says, Fudo, I'm so sorry you got so sick because of the rides, but I love learning these little things about you, like the fact that he can't get motion sickness. I thought that was so fucking endearing.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's just cute.
It's just very cute.
That was just cute.
Very cute.
And so we have those moments, but we also have some moments. There's one. See, with a star-crossed lover story, in order to make it work, sometimes you have to, even if it's a rom-com, you still have to bring some drama into it.
Sure.
So they did that in the beginning with the relationship with when Haru got involved, because Haru had had things for Fudo. At one point, Haru asked Fudo to have like a drink at a cafe,
sure,
or like lunch or whatever, tea. I don't fucking know.
Whatever. Do people go to cafes?
I don't know. Cafes have this weird problem of not serving alcohol, so I don't step foot in them.
That's weird.
Yeah. Ew.
Gross.
If they serve White Claw, I'd probably go all the time.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't want a croissant.
No. I want a beer and pizza.
Yeah.
I'm a man.
Yeah, and I want a tip. Big.
So Haru
So yes, they meet up at a cafe. Right,
yeah, so Haru and Fudo are just talking a little bit. Fudo has no idea what's going on. Fudo's like, "Oh, you want bodybuilding advice?" And Haru's like, fuck it." But great scene. Desumi and her two friends from her high school pass the cafe and see Fudo.
Yep.
The two friends are like, "Oh my god, that's Gelato Red. He's probably gonna pork that girl hard." And oh my god, she's Gelato Pink. Wow, Gelato Bone.
Gelato Bone.
Boning. So Desumi starts crying and runs off.
Right.
And I love the little twist they did here, because and then they have a fight scene.
Right.
And then before that they established that like Fudo and Desumi would send each other eye signals.
Right.
Desumi stops doing that and just starts kicking the shit out of Fudo.
Yeah.
So we think it's going to be the classic, oh, she thinks he's cheating on her.
Yeah,
That's not what we get at all.
Nope, not at all.
Not even remotely. We get and like Fudo's trying to like go, I can explain. She's like, I know you would never cheat on me, you idiot. And then she goes on to say like she saw Haru and Fudo together and she was like, it crushed her because she realized, in her mind, she realized that's who you should be with. You should be with these cute, bubbly girls. You shouldn't be with me. I am someone who's, I chose this life of evil, and, I can't really make you happy. And that I text you, episode 4 hit me hard because I'm like, fuck me.
Yeah.
What? Really? We're going to throw in some genuine human emotion.
Right. Is this the time?
Is this really the time?
And it was.
And the place? But no. And that's just people talk a lot about now toxicity in relationships, and so it's becoming a more. I think it's probably becoming more device and more any piece of fiction that has more romantic elements.
Sure.
Or you have to ask yourself, is this relationship a right thing? Because that's a real thing. That's a very real human emotion.
Oh yeah.
Am I in a
for the right reasons?
Yeah,
stuff, right?
Right reasons, and also like, am I right for this person? Is this relationship one-sided in terms of who's benefiting? You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's a very human series of questions, and it's such a real. It's just so real. You know what I mean? And I didn't expect that level. I just didn't expect the level of like emotional depth.
Yeah, in this, when like the episode before, they're like learning how to feed each other
exactly
while everything is crumbling and exploding around them.
So the show gets so many positive points from me, just how they handled the whole romantic aspect.
It does.
Desumi just really struggling, like thinking, I don't know if I'm right for him.
Right.
That's so...
Which is very interesting.
It's just so adult.
It was very adult.
It's very adult in the story.
It's like them trying to have like an actual adult relationship. And not just, like, some kind of weird
the series
fling.
is so lighthearted.
Yeah.
But we did early on get some... It was needed in a way to have a very solid emotional grounding. So... just big points there. From episode 4 on, I was pretty hooked. I'm like, where are you going?
It was pretty good. I think what they did, like every episode or every few episodes, they had like kind of a new conflict for the relationship arise. It's like this girl who we later find is one of the princesses, the Heat Princess.
Right.
Gets like a photo of
the two of them together,
Fudo and Desumi together, and she's like sends it to Fudo, and she's like, "I'm gonna blackmail you, like if you don't do exactly what I say." And Fudo's like, "Oh no, you can't release this photo," and she's like, "That's right, because everyone will know you're dating." And he's like, "Oh, I don't care about that. If you release this photo, everyone's gonna approach Desumi to be a model and an actress, and she's gonna leave me, because she's so beautiful."
And then the Prince is like, "That's your concern?
That's why you're mad?"
He's like, "Release it with the censor bar, please."
I really dig, because it's funny, because I really thought Fudo was going to be the main character, but he really is like the second to Desumi. I feel like Desumi's like, they really focus on her like mental processes of like this whole relationship, and Fudo is kind of like this fun other alternative that's just like a meathead, like
Fudo's kind of a foil.
He's a foil.
He's a foil because Fudo is trying to learn, but he's trying to do it from a more practical sense.
Yes, exactly.
He's trying to learn the intricacies of dating, but from a more like step by step, how do I do it basis.
Right.
Where Desumi is coming at it way more from the emotional aspect.
Right. Exactly.
So. And I just love the dichotomy there. So it shows how much, because obviously the relationship means a lot to them both.
Right, sure.
But it's both of them trying to figure out how to handle it, but in very different ways.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
We're giving solid critiques on the romance aspect of this show.
We really are.
This is the smartest we've sounded in a while.
That is the thing at the forefront.
Chug a little bit of this White Claw so I can knock some brain cells out.
Go right ahead. That is the thing about this show, though. It is very focused on the romance aspect and the kind of the relationship between the two of them.
Yeah.
And something else I do want to shout out are like the small details, because the small details in this show made me genuinely laugh.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And those are like random little details, as like in certain episodes, like you have Desame's like family like FaceTiming her and stuff like that, and they're all like so proud of her because her dad used to be like a gecko soldier or something.
He was a little grunt,
He was a gecko grunt, and she's like a princess, so they like really look up to her.
Yeah, the fact she rose up the hierarchy.
Exactly. And her whole family, like every time they FaceTime her, all like the little kids in the family or little brothers and sisters are wearing shirts that say "I heart gecko" and stuff like that. It's just all these like really random small details. Like they have like a school festival in episode 10. And like the people are in costumes at the festival, and somebody's like in a like Monkey D. Luffy cosplay. And I was like, what the fuck?
Someone's like a knockoff Spider-Man.
It's great. It just like doesn't. It's funny like in the very, very small details about how this works.
Having fun. And that episode I love because I love the end. I really love the end of that episode because it's the two of them because they want to, instead of a fire, there's this big ceramic moon that if you sit on with a person you love, you'll last forever.
This show is Japanese.
Exactly. So, did the Super Sentai not give you that? Anyway, so I love the conclusion because I forget which one of them said. Like, probably Destiny said it. It was like, wait a minute. They just put on their costumes. Like, they're just going to think we're in costume.
Yeah.
Actually, just go to the moon and sit on it.
And then everybody's like, wow, what good cosplay.
Exactly.
Amazing cosplay. The Reaper Princess and the Red Gelato would never be in a relationship, but wow, cool cosplay.
Yeah, cool cosplay,
and
guys.
I was like, interesting.
And that's the thing. The series, I did not expect it to be this smart.
No, neither did I.
It fucking threw me just how clever this series got.
It was very clever. It did do a very, very good job of like, and also like it asserted, I didn't think it could prolong it for 12 episodes, but it inserted like all these random things like Fudo got appendicitis at one point, and he had to get his appendix removed, and his mom was in the hospital being like, Fudo, let me feed you some apples, and she's like, no, Desame could be the only person to feed me. And he like declines the apples. I'm like, they make it go on for a while.
They find very fun ways to keep it going, and you know, you could probably. You can gather that's how because the show was originally a manga first.
Right.
It does feel like various episodic stories.
Definitely. Definitely episodic.
It's definitely episodic, but, you know, that's not a bad thing. So this is a show, I'll say this, I really wish I watched it when it aired. Because this would be a great thing to watch once a week.
It would be. Can we talk about you know, before we, because I sense us getting to the wrap up here, but before we do that, can we talk about the last episode?
Oh sure,
the last episode,
giant baby.
Yes, that turns into a giant cake. The last episode,
this is all real,
had a because I feel like there were conflicts before, but the last episode had like the major conflict that I was waiting for.
There was a couple big things that happened there because we can now reference what the Gecko's whole deal was.
Right? Yeah.
Gecko's whole deal was they were trying to like, and this is also a common Sentai device. They were trying to generate negative human emotion and human misery. That was done in a few seasons of Sentai. Now that I say it out loud, I can't think of which one's off the top of my head, but I've definitely heard that device before. They're trying to spread sadness. Oh yeah, Shinkanger did that. The samurai one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, that was the whole gimmick. They, you know, God, I fucking love Super Sentai so much, and I'm so happy I can talk about it and it be appropriate for once.
Yay!
But yeah, it's a Shinkanger device.
Yeah, in Super Senpai.
Oh God!
I've been waiting to drop that one for a while.
I know that joke had to be made somewhere.
It's been bubbling up inside me.
It's so funny because the Toku community is so small. And I'm pretty sure it's been somewhere. But
probably.
Yeah. But the Toku... Oh, and also with Fudo PI coming out. You know, the Kamen Rider double sequel. Now, I can't wait till anime fans just stumble upon Toku and go like, what is all of this nonsense? Oh, God. I fucking lost my train of thought.
You were talking about the last episode?
Yeah. So what it is, Gecko's whole deal was trying to generate negative human emotion.
Right.
So they can channel all of it and basically... converted all of it into energy so they can create this big monster, which is a great device. And I've seen that a few times in other Sentais too. I think they did it in QQ5 where like they were basically waiting on this giant thing to hatch.
Right.
But the joke is once it hatches, it's just a baby.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they did that exact. Wow,
like an infant.
They did that exact joke in QQ5. Now.
Really?
Yeah, they did that exact joke where like there's waiting on the.
Like the ultimate life form or whatnot. Yeah, it's a baby. Yeah.
So there's a couple episodes of the villains of QQ5 saying this fucking baby. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so because Sentai series are usually 50 episodes,
right?
So they have more time to play around with it.
Sure.
So there's probably like a good 15, 20 episodes or more where they're just looking at this like fucking. It's just this demon baby sitting there.
But this one within the episode, it just exactly. I mean, because everything this baby eats, it gains, so it just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
So they get pissed off when the giant monster is born and it's a baby.
Right.
So it's like a baby. It had a Devilman vibe where like the bottom half of it was like black and like the way like the outline is on its stomach. You know how like how Devilman like lower half is black and like, the rest is like a pink regular human torso. And it had the wings. So it was like a giant Devilman baby.
It was.
So
cry baby.
It did cry because it was a baby. All the Devilman connections. There's 2 Devilman connections here, and I love it. So anyway, we had this giant Devilman crybaby,
right?
But this one, it was also Kirby in that it gained the power of anything it ate.
It did Kirbify things.
So
it did suck some people.
It did suck some power. It ate the bear.
Yeah, it did eat the bear
because they couldn't control it.
Yeah, and the bear's got like Blastoise cannon, so it got Blastoise cannons.
Bear. It was a Blastoise bear.
It was a Blastoise bear.
So this baby has the Kirby power, and it basically the gecko can't control it.
Yeah, right.
So the baby starts eating a couple members
of the gecko team. Eats the Iron Princess at one point.
Because she was dating the bear, and they brought in something very funny here.
Mm-hmm.
Because Fudo had to do a commercial for a wedding.
Yes.
Because Fudo he had like 1 or 2 commercials earlier in the series. Didn't really matter up to this point. And so what it is. Oh, it was so fucking funny.
Well, they did the commercial. They were going to do the commercial.
Yeah, but Decimate did get a little mad because it's a wedding commercial.
It's a wedding commercial.
So, her jealousy is very funny because she's not jealous until it's like, something that means a lot to her. She's like, I don't want you doing that with another girl.
Because they had a scene in the commercial where Fudo and his wife, who's like some Japanese superstar, presumably, had to cut a cake together. And she's like, you shouldn't be cutting a wedding cake with anybody but me. But Fudo just didn't understand the problem with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Until later, until the Yellow Ranger was like, yo, that's whack, dude. And he was like, imagine if Decimate was cutting a cake with some other dude at a wedding. And he was like, no! Oh! And he's like, oh, I fucked up. I got to make Decimate a delicious cake. Yeah. So he started making a cake for them to cut before the actual cake cutting ceremony.
Yeah.
And he's working on that, and Decimate can't reach him via text, and he's not calling because he's working on the cake. And she's very, very sad. And even when they unveil this ultimate life form, and it starts eating all her friends, she's like, "Why hasn't Fudo texted me?"
Yeah, exactly.
It's very funny.
It was great. So eventually, yes, and eventually the giant baby eats a cake,
right? And eats the wedding cake that Fudo was supposed to cut.
And I love how they tied it back in because a big thing in Sentai is the giant combining weapon.
Yes.
Where it's because each ranger in Sentai usually has their own special weapon.
Right.
And so many seasons of Sentai do this where they combine all the weapons to form a giant blaster. I love how they tied it into the narrative here, where Fudo is contractually obligated to be in this commercial because the wedding people were the ones funding the development
of Megazord or the weapon
of this weapon. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
So the big gelato, the boss, is like, well, you got to do the commercial. We need the money for this cannon.
And that brings some nice realism too. Right?
Well, actually, so it's a cannon, but also the sword is the tip of the cannon.
Right.
So at one point, the baby had the Iron Princess, ate the Iron Princess, the baby gets the Iron Princess's weird fucking appendages.
Yeah.
So basically iron tentacles.
Right, right.
So he captures the rest of Gelato 5, and now it's just Fudo alone having the fucking the giant sword cannon in his hand. And he can't move it. Decimate comes up with him because the entire time that's going on, even the news is there covering it.
Right, right.
So they're saying, "Oh my god, Gecko lost control of their weapon, so now Gecko and Gelato have to work together."
Yeah.
So at one point, they slash the giant cake monster baby, and the two of them we're cutting a cake.
It just worked out that way.
And that's basically how the episode ends.
Yeah.
There's a quick shot
Yep.
of the bear and the Iron Prince just sitting there to establish they're alive, which I love.
Which is
Both
cool.
of them just going like,
well, yeah. And they cut the cake, and the baby turns back to like a small baby. And it calls Decimi its mom, and it calls Decimi and Fudo mom and dad, and they're like, whoa. But what I wanted to note about this is that this ultimate life form, right, is built off the negative energy of people.
Yeah.
If you notice, I guess earlier in the episode, like when it is born, Decimi is very mad at Fudo, and
of course.
she has a lot of negative energy.
Right.
But when it becomes positive again, when she like uses the sword with him and realizes that he made her a cake and stuff, it goes away. So I was like, oh, that's a nice little note in there too. That's a really interesting like way that they did that.
It's clever.
It's a good device. It's clever.
The show is just fucking clever.
Yeah, and that's pretty much how the show ends. And like the newscaster comes down, he's like, does this mean like Gelato 5 and Gecko can work together in the future? And they're like, no. And they start like
Decimi just starts beating the shit out of Fudo to maintain appearances. And the reporter's like, oh, never mind. This has been Channel 4.
There's no way this is ever gonna work out. Bye everybody.
And the two of them are just like, yeah.
And that's the end of the show. I mean, that's really the first 12 episodes. I mean, I'm not sure if this is going to get another season, but I would imagine it would.
Spoilers. I really hope it does. If fucking Spirit Chronicles gets season 2, this needs a season 2. So, spoiler alert, I didn't think this show was bad.
No.
Not at all. I had a great time with it. Does it kind of have to be your thing? Yes. You have to already have, a tolerance for rom-coms.
Sure.
And not mind a whole bunch of random Super Sentai bullshit.
Right. I gotta say, for me, it's again definitely not bad. The joy that I found in this is that I love rom-coms.
Yes.
I just very much enjoy rom-coms, and the fact that it's like, for example, like Fudo in one episode broke into the Gecko lair.
Yeah.
And his boss is like, you have to break into their lair and like disable their machine. And he was like, oh, cool, perfect. I could see Decimi.
Exactly.
And he breaks into their lair and and Decimi's like, what are you doing here? And he's like, do you want to play Uno?
It's
just very taking these very, very big issues and boiling them down to like this relationship.
Yeah.
And that's where I thought this like very much succeeded. Definitely not bad. Definitely a show that I thought was going to be stupid and not good. But as like watching it and continuing to watch it, it had a lot to give. Every episode was like a fun watch. I didn't have to like skim through anything. It was a good time. It was just fun. I mean, like we made a bad choice. It was a good show.
We're coming known for that now. Just accidentally finding good anime and going, oops. I'm more proving your point that there's not as much bad anime as I thought. There's some bad anime out there.
Hey, and we'll get to that, I'm sure, at some point. But this just like it was enjoyable. Like I stopped taking notes around the episode 6 or 7 mark and just said like, that's good. I'm just gonna watch it.
I'm just gonna watch now.
Yeah.
So this is very fun. I'm a little disappointed I missed it when it came out, but because I think the show would have been better consumed in a
weekly,
in a episodic sense. More
I agree.
More than just like because I watch a lot of it in a row.
Yeah.
So
me too.
But a damn good show. If you want to check it out. I'd say no need to binge it because it's more episodic. It could lose some of its luster if you consume it all at once.
Sure.
So watch it at a gradual pace and enjoy yourself. This was made to be watched once a week.
Right.
So you don't have to do it once a week, but watch it at your own pace. Have fun with it.
And have that soda gelato, baby.
And let's
that soda flavored gelato.
And down some soda gelato with your boys. Down the same one so your lips might accidentally touch, and then you get to find out new stuff about yourself.
Everyone likes guys.
It's bad.
Wow, oh my god, what a rousing podcast of anime conversation. Am I right, my compares? Am I right, my weebdom? Anywho, you can send us a message if you want. Did you like this podcast? Did you hate this podcast? Do you want to kill me? Do you want to drench me in Calaxosaur blood and watch me drink it? That's fine. Just send us an email at badanimepod@gmail.com or DM us on our Instagram at badanimepod, all one word. You can also find us on YouTube as Bad Anime, and you could leave a comment on whatever video you want to leave a comment on. We'll read them all anyways. We don't care. I love you. Kiss, kiss.
In your ear. Podcast Network.